Hey, everybody. Happy Monday night. I cannot believe we are 2 weeks away from Christmas. It's insanity, right? I'm so excited. You guys, listen, y'all are going to get to hear from my sweet friend, Krista, and we weren't super connected before Jewel School. I knew obviously who she was, mainly because of the massive family size. Like I knew her as the mom of lots. Hold on. Trying to sign me out. And then I also knew her as the soft-spoken mama. And I'm like, how does she parent all them kids and be soft-spoken at the same time? That's a lot of youngins. And then I found out we were both going to be Jewel trainers. And I was like, oh my gosh. My first thought was, I really hope I'm not too much for her because she's so sweet. And then I met her and we hugged and I'm like, oh, I'm just the right amount. Like I need this. I need this. And then what we heard all week long was, I really like how you and Christina are so opposite. Like when we need a swift kick in the pants, like we're going to come to you, and we need some like loving and like support and encouragement. We're going to go to Krista, and we need both. So that's super fun. Krista, thank you for doing this call. My whole team adored you. Like, I mean, it was a topic of many conversations after Jewel School. They were like, we need more Krista Dearey. I'm like, I tend to agree. So thank you for jumping on. We're so excited to hear from you tonight.
Oh my goodness. It's such an honor. I remember being asked to do Jewel School, and already that alone, like, terrified me. I was like, how does Plexus know who I am? And then I saw Christina on the lineup. I was like, oh snap. Like, I'm with the big dogs. What in the world? I have just loved your leaders and respected your leaders so much. And they didn't realize I've been learning from all y'all for a long time, just stalking your YouTube trainings and getting all that I can. And so to meet Christina in person was an honor. And we do balance each other out really stinking well, because our team needs good spanking sometimes. Like, we just need to hear it as it is. And there might be times that my team's like, okay, Krista, enough of the heart talk. Like, what do we actually do? Like, what's our IPA today? I'm like, I don't know, just go love people well. So we're a great balance. And so anyways, but it's beyond an honor. I do have a lot of kids. We have 8 children, 19 down to 3, 4 boys, 4 girls. We just pulled into our Minnesota home, which, to say we have 2 homes, that alone is a testimony to what God has done through this opportunity. It's been very surreal to come back to our Minnesota home. We moved to Charlotte 2 months ago, and we're renting right now while we look for a home to purchase. We want to like take our time and get our bearings and find a home that we can hunker down in. But we were able to keep our Minnesota home with all of our furniture and belongings in it as a second place to come for rest and reprieve. So we just came up here for 3 weeks to take in Christmas and snow, which my kids are thrilled about. And I'm like, not so much. Case in point, our 15-passenger van just went down our driveway a couple hours ago. The neighbor came knocking on our door like, hey, by the way, your van's like in the street. So in 2 months' time, we already forgot how to drive in the snow, I guess. It's just crazy. So this used to be my office back in the day. Now it's a bedroom because we Airbnb this. So it feels so weird to be back in my space here. But anyways, I just feel super led to really go back into my story, especially pre-Plexus. And then we're going to have some offshoots of nuggets as we go, if that's okay. And if I talk too long, y'all just go like this and be like, sister, shut up. We're going to bed. Okay. So that we'll just put that out there too. But I've been thinking a lot, especially today, about Joseph. And if you know the story of Joseph, he has this massive dream and then a lot of trials, like a lot of trials. And the fact that he stood the test of time is amazing. And then a resurrection of that dream. So the birth of a dream, and then it's crushed and demolished and destroyed like over and over. And then it comes and it makes sense. And at the end of the story, we see that through it all, his character was refined and he was being prepared for this purpose that was over his life, that wasn't just about him, but many people were saved by him walking out his purpose, right? And I see it playing out in my life, and it's especially in my face right now. And I'll kind of wrap around to that, but we're going to go way back to 1999, which makes me feel so old. I met a guy on the internet named Dearey, and he was living in Minneapolis. I was living near Seattle. And he was telling me about this internet business that he had. Now, we had just purchased dial-up internet. So it was so crazy that I even met a man this way. We had just purchased the internet. I thought it was so wild that he had an internet business. And I pictured like skyscrapers and that he was just all that in a bag of chips. And so fast forward to going trips back and forth and getting to know our families and whatnot, I came out to Minneapolis to go to one of his business meetings. And I thought I was just supporting my future husband. And I didn't even pay attention to the meeting because this was his job. It wasn't mine. And I was going to school to be a teacher. So I really just had no interest at all in what we were doing. And I sat there having no idea that really I was at an opportunity meeting. I was at an opportunity meeting for a network marketing business. And that was like my first kind of intro to the industry that I fell in love with back in 1999, because it had made my husband who he is. And, you know, he was giving me books like Magic of Thinking Big and How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I thought, this is so weird. I can't believe people like choose to read books. You know, I was busy with my textbooks and whatnot. And we just, as time went on, I started running alongside Chad in this journey of network marketing. And I remember meeting families who lived differently and thought differently and dreamed really big dreams. And it changed us as people. We would fly out to different places to these like dream building trips, meeting families who really had different lives, meeting men who wanted to be home full time with their wives and wanted to be home full time with their kids. I remember when I met Chad, even that was one of the first dreams that he mentioned to me. He's like, hey, you're going to think this is crazy, but one of my dreams is I want to be a full-time dad. And I was like, what? Like the dudes at college didn't talk that way, but Chad Dearey did. His whole life had shifted. He had been a drug dealer, alcoholic, player. And then he met some men in the network marketing industry, and it was used in a crazy way to shift the trajectory of his life. Well, we ran hard after that for many, many years. Fast forward though to 2007. And as the end of that year came, maybe it was end of 2006, coming into 2007, that January, we began to really sense the Lord asking us to fast and pray regarding whether we were to continue. So I'm not talking about like the grass was greener somewhere until we were thinking we just should quit, or that we were discouraged and we just want to leave. We are huge believers that you cannot determine the will of God based on your successes or your failures. You don't make those big decisions based on what you see with your natural eyes, but we are like so passionate about living spirit-led lives, not based on what we see, but what he sees, and that we can trust him with every step of our lives, even how many children he might ask us to have. If it's going to be 8, my goodness sakes. But we just love going after the Lord. And so we are like, wow, okay, I think he's asking us to fast. We fasted the month of January, seeking the Lord as to was he really saying to lay down this business that we had fallen in love with. Granted, we weren't making much money at it, but we loved it, and we loved the people, and we loved what we were learning. And we had dreams. We had dreams on our refrigerator that we thought would come to pass. And let me tell you some of these things that were on our refrigerator. Because when I met Chad, I had one dream, and it was to be a mom. Like I just wanted to be a mama and support a husband. Like I really didn't ever want to work. I just wanted to be a mom. That was it. And he had all these dreams, but he like would challenge me to dream. I remember him telling me, Krista, pick out a car. If you could drive any car, what would you drive? And I was like, I don't care, Chad. I don't care about stuff. He's like, no, pay attention to the freeway, look at the cars and tell me, what would you drive? And so I thought about it for a long time. I started paying attention to the cars on the freeway. And eventually I decided my favorite car was a Lexus. I liked the black ones and I liked the white ones. We weren't in a company that had a company car. That's just what I decided I liked. And we had that on my refrigerator for years. We had things like a playground for our kids. We would see that dream come to pass last year. So my oldest, bless his heart, was 19 when mom and dad finally could afford a playground for their backyard. But beyond that, we had a dream in our hearts for ministry. We sense a calling towards it. So I can't say there was a desire there, but we sense a calling towards ministry. And we had posters on our fridge and on the walls of our home that said, go Diamond, go Pastor. Why? We felt like we wanted to, what we felt like it was the Lord back then, like to just get to this place financially, to have time freedom and financial freedom where we could step into ministry not needing a paycheck, where we could just be like so open-handed with our lives, say, God, send us wherever you want us to go. We will say yes ahead of time. We'll go where you say to go. We'll do whatever you tell us to do. So it said, go Diamond, go Pastor. So to get to this point where we sense God was saying, now let it go, we're like, this makes no sense. And so we fasted and we sought the Lord and we asked for confirmation. Those confirmations came and we decided to step away. Ultimately, we stepped into real estate. 2007, we lived in Florida. It was booming. And we thought, this is the way that God's going to do it. We're keeping hold of these dreams. He's going to do it through real estate. And who knows what happened in 2008? The market crashed, right? And the Deareys crashed with the market, and so did our ego and our pride. We were going down the steps. I don't know if you ever read the book, what's it called? Dream to Destiny, that kind of takes you through each trial that Joseph went through between dream and the destiny. We were needing to go ahead and go through the pride test, because we went from like so much pride to crashing on our buns. And we lost our 30-acre farm. We lost our investment properties. We lost Chad's job. And we found ourselves living in my best friend's son's bedroom and nowhere to live, no credit to qualify for a rental home, and really just feeling broken. That was the start of many years of climbing out of that pit. We just now got to the point last year that we could purchase a home, the home that I'm in right now. Here we are 1 year after that, able to purchase a second home. Is that just not the Lord? But that wasn't overnight, friends. That's 2008 to 2021, this journey that was unfolding. And it was a crushing time as we lost everything. But I tell you what, when you have no money and you don't qualify for a credit card to save the day, you really do discover who your true provider is. And that's a lesson I needed to learn back then, because the same is true today. Plexus is not my provider. God's using it right now in a great way, but I already have a firm foundation, the fact that the Lord's my provider. And he proved that to us time and time again. We were sustained by just true miracles and through the body of Christ, and learning that you didn't need all the things. We sold many belongings and found ourselves just really trusting the Lord through that season. We are climbing out of that season gradually. We got eventually into a little rental home. It was like a cracker box, literally a box shape, so tiny. And we were pregnant with baby number 6. We were still having kids through these crazy years. Like I said, still believers on follow what the Lord's saying, not what your bank account says or what your eyeballs see. We had sensed that God was asking us to have a little boy, but we had 3 girls in a row. So we're like, what in the world, right? So finally a baby boy comes. I was pregnant with number 6, living in this tiny rental home. This rental company had been so sweet, had overlooked our mess of paperwork and credit that had been destroyed. And I was pregnant with a boy. We named him Judah. His name means praise. And I don't know if you've ever like finished God's sentences. You feel like God's saying something. You're like, he's saying that. Surely he means like, this is what it's going to be like. Because the Lord said, well, we felt like since he named our child praise, we're going to enter into victory. Finally, like the worst is behind us. High five. Our marriage survived heartache and a crazy time. And now we're going to enter into a praise season. And I picked up a journal. I began to write down all these victories and just choosing to have faith, because I had taken all of our dreams off our refrigerator. I had chosen, it had just been a time. We'll just put it that way. Dumpster diving for coupons, food stamps, all the things. And I was pregnant with a dream. A little boy named Praise that we thought would be our last child and would represent victory from then on forth. But when he was 5 weeks old, that little Praise baby suffered 2 traumatic brain hemorrhages. At the time, the assumption was we had harmed our child. So it's already traumatic to call 911 when you see your child's not breathing and having seizures and starting to pass before your eyes. That's trauma. That's also trauma to be treated like criminals for the first 12 days or so as they tried to figure out what had happened. So we had cops following us. We were investigated at 2 a.m. while Judah was transported to a hospital in Tampa. And our life was jolted. Just as we thought we were climbing out of this pit, it was like the rug was swept out from underneath us. It was trauma. It was trauma on our family. We had been kind of crunchy. We were hippies with normal clothes on. I had home births and we had been pretty healthy too. Not ever needing antibiotics. The kids had not even had like an ear infection. So this like changed our whole world, what we entered into. And I stuffed the trauma and I stuffed the pain and went into mama bear mode to fix my son. And really, ultimately, if I'm honest, to fix my life. I wanted my life back because it didn't look the same. Now I had a child running him to therapies and doctors and specialists that we started realizing couldn't see. He couldn't see me. He couldn't make eye contact with me. We started realizing he was handicapped, that we had a long haul ahead of us. Those things you kind of start figuring out as you go. When it's a brain injury, there's a lot of unknowns. So it was this gradual process, but all along stuffing my heart and stuffing my pain and trying to fix our life and keep our family together and hug the kids while needing a hug myself. But that ultimately led to caregiver burnout, such a real thing. And I found myself very underweight. I'm 5'8". I was 110 pounds. My thyroid was swollen, hair falling out, seeing a doctor, getting checked for thyroid cancer. And amidst that crazy health, found out I was pregnant with baby number 7 and was ticked off. At this point, I was like, Lord, no. I was so hurt and I was so mad. And I got to this place in my heart where I was like, I'm done serving you. If this is what it's like serving you, then I'm done. Like, I was so like, I was not healthy, but I was in a bad place in my heart. I was so upset and I was terrified to have another child, especially to have another boy. Now, sweet Malachi was exactly what we needed. He's like this love bomb that entered our family and still to this day lives out his name so well. Like, sometimes he hugs too much and says too many nice things. You're like, stop, I'm not even deserving of your kindness. Like, he is literally a love bomb and all that we needed. But his birth and the hormones, the lack of sleep, everything, it was like this Pandora's box. I don't even know what a Pandora's box is, but that's what I'm picturing. Like, it opened up this Pandora's box of all my junk. It was coming out. Like, I was a mess. I had always been prone to issues after childbirth and my hormones, in deep sadness. I had always struggled after every baby, but when you start unearthing trauma and flashbacks and whatnot, it was an unhealthy place, and is eventually what led to my hitting rock bottom. In that time, I was beginning to learn transparency and vulnerability. I was using a blog and social media. I didn't get out much, as you can imagine. We had all these kids. I had a baby on my hip. I still had a special needs son, but it was essentially like a baby. He's 10 years old now and is still like a baby. And so I didn't get out much. And social media was my connection with the outside world. It truly was, excuse me. And so I was learning this power of transparency, beginning to tell our story for the first time. In the early days, people did not know fully what had transpired with our son because I carried shame. And I was so scared to let people in. And I began to unpack it a bit for the world at large and started learning some of the freedom that would come from being transparent and being vulnerable. And amidst that, I shared once about my flashbacks. And that's when I received a message from a sweet lady named Heather to tell me about a pink drink that she thought could help me. And my first thought was, you've got to be kidding me. Like, what? Yeah, you think I'm going to drink a diet drink filled with chemicals and red dye and like artificial sweeteners for my flashbacks? Because I just made all these assumptions. I didn't look into it. I just figured if it's pink, it's got to have red dye. And surely it's got artificial sweeteners and it's a diet drink. I literally thought she was out of her mind that she would offer that to me. I told her no, didn't even look into it. Just told her no, and that I don't drink things with red dye and artificial sweeteners. Pride much came back. So, and then just moved on with my life, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. How many times has that happened for you guys too? And I think about this all the time when there's people on my heart and reminding myself that just like the Lord worked behind the scenes in my life when Heather couldn't see, he's doing that in the lives of people all around you guys as well, right? So she had no idea that this kept coming back to me, and I couldn't figure out if this was like a get behind me, Satan, or was the Lord leading me to this? Because I was so confused by it. She reached out 2 more times with a testimony once, and I think she invited me to an event, and I did not open those messages. I did not respond. So rude. So rude. She's like the sweetest human in the world. But here's what stuck out to me that has carried with me my whole journey as well. She was so genuine. She reached out to me because she saw a concern in my life and she felt like she had the answer to it. And within that message, she encouraged me to pray about it. It stuck out. It wasn't this copy and paste scripted message. It wasn't that she was trying to reach a goal and needed me just to place an order. She had already been with Plexus 2.5 years. She could have reached out to me anytime, but she truly believed that this could help me. And that showed. It was very evident. And I trusted her. I didn't know her super well, but she's a pastor's wife. And I trusted her motives. I just thought it was weird that she would want me to buy a pink drink, right? Ultimately, that October of 2014, I did hit a rock bottom for our family. I grabbed the keys to our car and I left my cell phone in my wallet because I felt done with life. And I left that night at first looking for a way to crash our car or to drive it into a lake. I'm pretty ditzy, couldn't figure out either of the things. So it turned into a long drive of a pity party with the Lord, of just laying my heart out there with him, of like, you've got to let me go. You've just got to take me home. My husband needs a new wife. My kids need a new mom. That's literally what I thought. In the chaos in my mind, I just felt like if I could leave, then my family would be better off. I did return home that night to a very broken man. And his first words were, Krista, I just didn't think you'd come back. And that was the very first time that I admitted out loud to anybody with honesty of how dark my thoughts were and how deep in this I actually was. I couldn't fake it. I needed help, but we were still broke. We had no health insurance and we didn't know what to try. And so that night, that rock bottom is what led me to try this. It made no sense at all, but we felt like we had tried everything else. And so our handshake of a deal is, we'll try this for 60 days. If it doesn't work, we'll get our money back. And then we'll check you into treatment. Literally. Like that, it sounded silly. It still sounds silly when I think back to our story, that a pink drink called Slim is going to help me with that darkness. But that's how I started. I was a preferred customer on a bag of Slim. By the end of the second month, is when Chad commented that he hadn't seen me like that in a long time. Is when my kids said, Mommy, you don't cry every day like you used to. It's when a friend at church pointed out that something was different. There was a twinkle in my eyes. My smile was brighter. And I was like whispering to her, I was like, have you heard of Plexus? Like so scared to tell her and admit to anybody that that's what I was using. January 7th. 2015 came, a day I'll never forget. It's forever etched in the history book of the Dearey family. It's when I decided I would tell others, not just my husband, of my struggle. Because I am a people pleaser, or I had been. I'm an overcoming people pleaser. I'm trying. I didn't want people to know of my struggles. And if I could fake a smile, I would go out in public. If I couldn't, I stayed home. And I felt so compelled by this nudge in my heart to be honest and real about my struggle and be honest and real about what worked for me. And I wrestled with it. I had fear of man all over that, of what will people say? What will people think? But I couldn't resist the urge any longer. And I put a post out on Facebook. It seemed like a big deal back then, handshaking, all the things. I put it out for the world on an iPad, my kid's iPad that was given to them through a fundraiser because my phone did not have service. I would end up going emerald with my kid's iPad that only worked if I had Wi-Fi. So let me just start getting rid of some excuses as we go here. I put it out there on an iPad, went back to homeschooling my kids and changing the diapers and doing the therapies. And that night, a shift began to occur in my life. Because when you go through trials and pain and heartache, even right now, you might be battling something, you might be going through something, even as you face the holidays. I know even in my life, the holidays can be so beautiful, but they can be so hard too. I feel it with you. And sometimes when you're walking through pain, it's very isolating, and you hear this lie that you're the only one with a hard life and everyone else is just happy as can be. And they're probably singing songs like they're in a musical. That's how I see it in my head. In my utopia world, it is a musical and everyone's singing and dancing in the streets, and not me though, because my life's hard. Everyone else, they have it easy. And so when I opened up my iPad that night and I saw messages from people that were struggling, people I knew, people I saw at church, in our homeschool group, and that I did life with, who were saying, hey, I'm battling this, this, and this. Do you think it could help me? I'm taking this medication. Do you think this could help me? I'm going through this. Do you think this could help me? I was wrecked. Number one, because I see that if you're transparent and you're vulnerable and you open yourself up to the world, others feel freedom to then take off their mask and be real about what they're struggling with too. And that was super powerful to me. And it provides a deeper connection than anything. I hate small talk. I hate it. I don't want to talk about the weather or what movie is showing at the theater. I want to hear the nitty gritty of what's going on in your heart. That's just how I am. What is going on the inside? What are you feeling all over the place? I love that. I love that process, and transparency and vulnerability is what breeds that. But it also provides a foundation of trust and relationship, right? But I got to see that I wasn't alone in my pain and in my struggles. And I had something I could offer others that might help. And a business was born with the most unlikely person in the whole wide world, My only work experience outside of supporting my husband in network marketing years prior was that I worked at a coffee shop in college. After that, I was a stay-at-home mom. Chad was the entrepreneur. Chad was the one that wanted to like take it to the top in this industry, especially. You guys, leading up in that year, 3 things happened. 3 things. One, Chad was discouraged in his job. And I asked him one day, if you could do anything, what would you do? He's like, Krista, honestly, I would do network marketing. I just don't know what company does it right. But I love what it provides. And I don't know anywhere else where you can have that kind of time freedom and financial freedom and make an impact in people's lives. If I could do anything, I'd do network marketing. I just don't know who I do it with. Second thing occurred. He reached out to his mentor in business, very successful man, but who also has a great marriage and great family. So get advice from people who not just make money, but have the lifestyle and the relationships that you admire and that you want, right? And in that conversation, this mentor of his said, Chad, have you and Krista ever considered network marketing? I really think you'd be good at it. The third thing that had happened that year prior to this coming into our lives was I was so frustrated with how pessimistic I had become and how negative I had become. And I thought, man, I was a better person back in the day when we listened to trainings and we read great books. And I've lost those habits. And so I started Googling, trying to find the book list so I could have those habits again, because I could tell I had lost myself through the trials of life. The Lord knew what was coming down the hatchet. I sure did not. But we jumped in. When you've prayed for a breakthrough in your finances for a decade, when you've prayed and you've sought the Lord and you've been believing and you've seen him show up, but you just think, surely there's got to be something coming. You grab hold of it, right? Now, it looked different than I thought, and it required me, not Chad. But we started catching on that the Lord was at work here and that he had brought this for such a time as this. I want to grab these notes because I had jotted down some things and I already feel myself getting distracted and going all over the place. All right. Even what time is it, you guys? Because I'm going to, okay. All right. I could go into like the whole journey of our business. The first month we made a few $100s. To us, that was like millions, literally. We didn't have much spending money at that time. Like I mentioned, we were dumpster driving for coupons, food stamps, all of that. But gradually over time, we began to dream again, right? We began to think like, maybe we won't need fundraisers for Judah. Maybe Chad could come home full time. maybe we can start pulling up these dreams. But really in this journey, it's been the process with the Lord above anything else. Because you do reach this point where you are fully aware that money doesn't fix your life. A rank or a title, it won't fix your life. Driving a Lexus won't heal your heart. There's nothing I can do in Plexus that will fix my son. I still walk through trials daily, you guys. I need you to know that. Why do I need you to know that? Because I think so often we can just believe this lie that if I can just get to diamond, then everything will be better. If I could just get to this rank, my marriage will be better, my kids will be better, because then we can do whatever. But there's the process the Lord needs to take you on to really fully know, like he wants you so satisfied in him, not in all the stuff. All of this burns up, but he is so faithful to use this to do a work inside you that goes beyond this business. He's the best upline and he's the best coach, but he cares way more about your character than the amount of points in your back office right now. And he cares way more about the purity of your motives than whether or not you're going to maintain your rank. He cares way more about how you treat people than whether or not you're in momentum or you're not. So go back to the story of Joseph. The Lord gave him a dream, but there was a lot that had to happen that grew character inside of him that would be a foundation for his destiny. In this industry, you are not just helping people buy products. You're not just helping people place orders. You're not just helping people get points and hit ranks. You are leading families. You're leading hearts. You're leading real people with spouses and children and destinies. And I think the more that we can partner with kingdom mentality and kingdom priorities, the better. And what do I even mean by that? I think so often we can hold on to things so tightly. These are my people. This is my team. These are my points. This is my rank. No one touch it. No one come close. I got it covered, Lord. Like, this is mine. And we think if we can just control it, we can turn it into exactly what we need it to be. And the Lord's like, actually, can you hold it out here? And that feels so risky. But I really want to challenge each and every one of you today who might be holding on to things because of fear, holding on to things for whatever reason. And you're holding it so close because it matters to you and because you care. But I'm asking you tonight to take some time this evening, tomorrow morning, whenever you need to, and take everything and put it out this way. Here's my team, Lord. Here's my people. Here's my points. Here's the timeline. Here's my frustrations. Here's my discouragement. Here's my kids. Here's my husband. Here's my junk. Here's my finances. Here's my time management. Here's my horrible habits. Here's my laziness. Here's my ego. Here's my fears. Here is everything. Because when it's out here, he can work and he can move and he can do things that you can't do. When it's here, there's no access. When it's here, you're not even going to be prone to pride because you'll see him move and do things here that you're like, yeah, that wasn't me. It was him. Not everyone is called to do this business. I think everyone can benefit from it. I think it's the best thing ever. I want it for everybody, but not everyone's called to this. We need great lawyers. We need amazing politicians, do we not? We need amazing teachers, and we need them to keep their jobs and keep teaching the children. We need good doctors. We need people keeping the grocery stores open. We need people in every sphere. And God is positioning you, though. There's so many of you here. You're probably only here because at some point you have felt this nudge that says, I was made for this. This is a part of my destiny. This is a part of my purpose. There's a stirring in your heart that keeps you in this. It's these nudges, one nudge at a time, that even in times of discouragement, you know you were brought here for a reason and you have a part to play here. But lean into that. Why has he brought you here? It's okay to ask those questions. What's your purpose here? What are your giftings? What are you bringing to the table? What can you bring to make Plexus a better place? What can you bring to make network marketing a better place? How can we all do this better? And open-handedly. Some people are going to come into your life for a reason. They're going to come into your team for a season. And some are going to partner with you all the way for a lifetime. But the more we can lean into his storyline over our lives and over our people, I promise you there's a grace that shifts. I remember, I have not told this story in quite some time, and I don't know why I felt like I'd end up sharing it tonight, but I remember when a gold ambassador on my team, a level 1, let me know that she needed to go on to something different. And she was so thankful for these products that helped clear the fog in her brain and things going on. And she started learning things and she started leaning into the Lord and asking the Lord, what was the calling on her life? And she felt so led to have a salon that was actually kind of a ministry and a salon in one. And she discovered that because she got in some great products that started to help her health. And then she started pursuing the Lord for what was the calling on her life. And, you know, I was super bummed because I really liked working with her. I was super excited because she was stepping into what she needed to step into. Can we be a people that loves people so stinking well that we're championing them into the center of God's will for their life? I do not want to get to heaven one day and say, hey, and hear the Lord say, you did a great job, but you taught people into doing what you're doing. And I didn't even call them to do that, Krista, Dearey. I don't want to hear that. I am so determined to figure out how to continue to do this better and better and better. And I have made more mistakes than anybody. I will tell you that firsthand. I can tell you all my mishaps and all my junk, all my fears and all the insecurities I face, even the fact that I am like deathly nauseous, even talking to you guys right now. I deal with so much, but I know I've been put here for a reason. And I know this is part of my purpose. And I know that part of my place within Plexus is to just call us in to doing this the best we can in a really healthy way that loves people well. regardless of whether they ever join us, regardless of whether they do 100 PV or 5, regardless of whether they take it to the top or not. I remember back in the day, one of our regrets in the early days, years ago, was that we saw people as a way to get where we wanted to go. And we put God in this box that everyone we met surely must join us. And that wasn't the case. It grieved our hearts and it grieved our spirits. That's not what God created us to do. And so it can be hard because we're so passionate about what we're doing, right? We're so passionate about this and we want it for everybody. But that person you meet at the coffee shop, they might need a hug. The person you meet in the grocery store might need to pay for their groceries. The person you meet on the soccer field, though, might need to connect on social media and totally join your team. But I just really want to challenge you guys to love stinking well, to represent this industry really well, right? And to love fiercely, leaning into the Holy Spirit as your upline. Remember, he cares more about your heart than anything else. And so in the process, in the good times and in the bads, the more that you can lean into him and ask questions, the more each rank is going to mean more to you than the paycheck and the way it pays your bills or helps you fulfill those natural dreams. Every rank, if you're at all like me, will bring you to your knees in tears because you will know the nitty-gritty heart work that you had to go through to get there. Each rank is going to represent a breakthrough that happened in your mindset and in your heart set that then brought you to the leadership development to take you to that next level. And that's my heart for you. Let me see if I wrote down anything else. Not really. I have like no fancy way to even end this, you guys. That's that, Honky Cat. That's all I got for you, you guys.
Well, I think everybody is drying their eyes. Man, we need more of Krista, Thank you so much for that. Championing people well, I think is the call to action, being more focused on doing the next right thing for that person. So thank you, Krista. You are a dear friend, and I'm so excited to continue getting to be a trainer with you. So fun.
Oh,
to know you. So
I love you.
I love you a lot. And y'all, thanks for getting on. Hey, listen, Merry Christmas, everybody. If I don't see you or talk to you again between now and then, love you guys. Blessings upon blessings upon blessings. See y'all.